As a conservative commentator and internationally recognized authority on terrorism, Dr. Harvey Kushner has advised elected officials, military personnel, and foreign government officials, as well as trained many U.S. government agencies. Kushner is recognized as one of the first terrorist experts to have warned about the secret Islamic terror network operating within the United States. In 1991, law enforcement seminar sponsored by the FBI, he described in eerie detail how Islamic terrorism connected to the worldwide jihadist movement would soon attack on the home front. In a briefing to the federal agency in 1998, he also warned of another attack on the World Trade Centers. So please welcome Dr. Harvey Kushner. Our second speaker for the evening is Mr. Scott Horton. Scott is an assistant editor at antiwarradio.com, and he is the host of the Anti-War Radio. Previously, Horton was a host of Weekend Interview Show on the Republic Broadcasting Network. Since 1999, he has hosted 6 shows in Austin, Texas, beginning with Say It Ain't So on the micro-broadcasting station Free Radio in Austin. In 2004, he served as foreign policy advisor to the Libertarian Party presidential candidate Michael Bednarik. From 2005 through early 2007, Horton hosted the weekly KAOS report, which included commentary on both domestic and foreign affairs. In January 2007, Horton started the daily foreign policy show Anti-War Radio for antiwar.com and KAOS Radio. In October 2007, Horton won the Austin Chronicle's Best of Austin Award for his coverage of the Iraq War. So please, I'm glad to introduce Mr. Scott Horton. Now, for the structure of tonight's debate, there will be a total of 5 questions asked this evening. The first speaker asked will have 5 minutes to respond. The second speaker will then have 4 minutes to rebut, and then the first speaker will have the last word with the 2-minute counter rebuttal. We will then ask each speaker to respond to the 5th and final question, in which they will each have 5 minutes to respond with no rebuttals. After the debate is over, we will open up the floor for questions to the audience. The speakers will have 3 minutes to respond to those questions, and we will be keeping our time limit restrained, and we will let the speakers know with a sign that lets them know when they've arrived at 30 seconds till they're supposed to finish, and we ask them to abide by that. Let's begin. Thank you very much.
All right, we're going to start with the first question, and it's going to be for Dr. Kushner. Should promoting democracy around the world play any part in U.S. foreign policy? Why or why not?
Well, first, before I answer that, and the answer is going to be yes, I also want to thank Jay Cunningham for inviting me here. Thank you, Jay. And also the Leadership Institute down in Arlington, Virginia, which supports these types of events. Answer to the question is yes, absolutely. The United States needs to support democracies worldwide for a variety of reasons. One, we just can't be expected when there's a tsunami or some other type of natural disaster, or when AIDS ravishes a continent such as Africa, to be there with our money, to be there with our aid when countries want us. But we also need to look out for the United States as well. And that is by having more democracy in different regions of the world, it protects us as a nation. It means that we have a more level playing field with people who have ideas which are similar to ours. Now, I understand that this debate tonight is going to focus, obviously, this is a lead-in to Iraq. And I don't think there's anyone in this room who would argue with me that Saddam Hussein was a good guy and should have been removed. The question is probably going to be, was it our obligation to do so? Should it be part of foreign policy to preempt and to go inside and to try to create a nation state which has some semblance of democracy, not necessarily Jeffersonian democracy, but democracy? Yes, it's important for our interest. It's important for the greater Middle East, but especially for the protection of this country. We live in a very dangerous world, and a world that's becoming shorter, smaller. I remember when I was in school, I was told that, you could traverse the world in 2 days. I won't tell you when I was in school, because that's many moons ago, but it took 2 days to go around the world. But today, we have instantaneous communications, whether it's in cyberspace or whether it's somebody getting on an airplane in one place in the region of the world and being in the United States the next day. It's to our interest to promote democracy rather than allowing countries to have certain forms of government which would certainly oppose the United States, whether it would be eventually in a military engagement or whether it would be an economic engagement. So it certainly is to our interest to promote this. And it needs to be a weapon of our foreign policy. And I use the word weapon. Foreign policy is not just to be in isolation and not just to protect ourselves by staying inside the boundaries of the United States, the 48 states, the 50 states, or our territories, but it's literally to promote our values worldwide. And that includes the democratic values that this country has been founded on and holds near and dear. And needless to say, it's becoming more so as technology becomes much more extreme and allows people to communicate on this daily basis. So I'm a strong believer that we have to be very proactive as a nation, picking and choosing regions in the world where we can bring forth what the American dream is. I said earlier to a group of people, I never heard of a French dream, I never heard of a British dream, or I certainly never heard of an Iraqi dream, but I heard of the American dream. And the American dream is for people to live in peace and for people to prosper and to people to grow up in an atmosphere where there's equality amongst all of our citizens. And I think people in the world have that right. I think the people of Iraq have that right. Now, I understand it's difficult for us in terms of all the young men and women who gave up their lives trying to import democracy into that region. But, I'm very selfish about that. I think everybody in this world is entitled to live under a democratic rule. And I think the United States is the only beacon, it's the only shining city on a hill that could bring that worldwide. I understand it costs money, I understand it costs blood, but since when has America ever shied from giving money? Since when has America ever shied from giving blood? We did that during World War I, we certainly did it during World War II, and I'm speaking here on an occasion on 9/11, when I lost friends in the World Trade Center, because I'm a New Yorker. This is the outcome of when you don't have democracy in regions of the world, you're vulnerable to attacks such as 9/11. So yes, the answer to the question is a resounding yes. It's our responsibility, it's our duty as Americans and who believe in our Constitution to spread the word and spread the gospel worldwide, no matter the cost in blood, no matter the cost in money, because liberty is worth fighting for and defending.
Mr. Horton, you have 4 minutes to rebut.
Democracy, said Benjamin Franklin, is two wolves and a lamb voting on what's for lunch. And we see the results of American foreign policy in attempting to export democracy to the Middle East in the Iraqi government, which is made up of the Dawa Party and the Supreme Council for Islamic Revolution in Iraq, the guys who were the Iraqi traitors who fled to Iran back when America supported Saddam in the war against Iran. And so now the Iraqi government is a joint effort between the American government and the Iranian one. And the Supreme Islamic Council and their Badr Brigade have spent the last 4 years putting drills in the heads of Sunnis, murdering them, slaughtering them, and ethnically cleansing Baghdad of them. They voted on what was for lunch. It was Baghdad, and any Sunnis who happened to be in the way were lost out. We can see the hypocrisy of the American War Party when they claim that they want to promote democracy.